have changed my life when it comes to leveling up. I have loved bonding and connecting with both of you and your stories, and not only are you both fathers and raising babies and amazing husbands and creating financial security for your wives, right, and your future families as you guys grow. AKA, I hope you guys have more beautiful babies. But seriously, when I first got connected with you, one of the biggest things that I took away was, like, we are ready for that next level. You guys are two rocket ships. We got Aaron, who literally got into the business how many years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And then within those 2 years, within your first year in the industry, how much roughly did you?
My first year I did 22 million.
22 million. Yeah. I'm sorry, say it again.
22.
Amazing. And then you're literally, as you led out your team, built out your own originations, you were a sales manager before you joined AnnieMac. Last year, you did 97 million.
Yeah, right under 97.
And how long have you been in the business?
5 years.
5 years.
Yep.
Like, that's unheard of. You guys know that, right? And
keep hearing that.
It honestly boils down to having the plan. And I know you both have enrolled in with the Freedom Club, and I think a big part of the alignment and stepping into that next level was being able to be more proactive versus reactive. And I know you got an amazing squad, and joining us in January, right? AnnieMac in January, launching in Annapolis, Maryland. You guys have grown from 4 people to
10 now.
To 10
just
people.
hired our 10th this morning.
All right, so I set the stage. Matt, for you guys, like, what was one of the biggest game changers for you in stepping into the world of AnnieMac and leveling up your business?
So I think it was definitely us sitting down after we had that tremendous growth year and saying, what is our business plan next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road? And then road mapping and reverse engineering, how are we going to get there? Obviously, we needed support and staff to do that because you can only do so much as an individual in anything, really, honestly. You were a big part of that. But that led us to, of course, we're fantastic originators and advisors, but not necessarily the recruiting and staffing and training was, our strong suit. And AnnieMac has provided that platform to put fantastic candidates in front of us and make sure that we can, we're character first people, and then we can kind of teach those loan specific things for people that come onto our branch. So it was, hey, we need the staff, we need the support, and to reverse engineer how we're going to get to that huge goal in 5-10 years.
Huge goal. We'll get to that in a minute. But Aaron, as you've stepped in, I know something you guys love to do is love on your people, right? You are big fans of pouring into others. Their success is your success, and paying it forward. I know you've got some rising stars on the team, and as you guys are leading by example, how's that been for you, and how rewarding is that?
It's unbelievable. And first off, I mean, as much as you say we've helped you level up your business, like you and AnnieMac have done that for us tenfold. So thank you. But I mean, we're in a people business. It's all about the people, and we like to hire people that we say are smarter than us, and it's just been tremendous and really fostering that culture. We didn't necessarily know exactly how to do that at first, but doing the right thing is always the right thing, and if you do that a little bit more every single day, here we are, and with our 10th employee, and watching people grow. I mean, we're gonna talk about our girl Katz, who just became a loan officer, and it's just absolutely crushed it. And we couldn't do what we do without her, and we've been able to pass on what we know to her, and Matt's really been driving that ship.
So let's talk about Marissa and Hannah for a second, right? Like, so these boss ladies, right? They keep these guys alive. No, but seriously, I think we all realize we can't do it all. We can't wear all hats. We can't be all things. It's just not effective, and it's not what we sometimes love to do. We need to do the things we love doing. So, share with us some of the seats and people that are on the bus, right? And how that's keeping the ship moving. And obviously you have a bigger team than just those two. Like, if you could highlight some of those strengths and what you have in place.
Yeah, so Hannah is a one-of-one unicorn. So we are close to replicating her possibly in Aaron's loan partner and Kellie. She's amazing as well. But it's been just a joy to see, someone who has had that amazing potential, that drive, that every single successful person I've ever met has a little bit of chip on their shoulder, right? That drives them, and Hannah definitely has that where I've been able to provide that leadership and platform in AnnieMac that we can transition her from that loan partner assistant role into bringing in her own business. It's been crazy. It's been, what fulfills me is watching other people succeed too, watching him, hit 22 million in his first year ever, and then continuing to grow his business. We came to AnnieMac 7 days after he had his first son. And
Buckle in.
Yeah, hold on tight. And just watching him grow through being a dad and watching Hannah grow her business. I mean, everybody sees the production, and her production is incredible. I mean, first month, she is, I think, 2.2 million in production in her first month. She's going to be on President's Club in her first year. But what people really don't see is her leadership within our branch as well. And so for me, it was, okay, I want to, lead these people not to just, go and be originators, but be able to have a voice in our branch as well of their own, to where she can now impact Kellie and our processors and our new originators and our business development managers, rather than it just being me. And that's the way to scale is, to have that kind of cohesion in leadership.
So well said. A lot of people we've interviewed, they've been here for 5, 8, 10 years, and you guys have been on board since January. So, you're on the other side. You've gotten through the onboarding, where people think that's the most rockiest waters.
Yep.
For you guys and Aaron, your onboarding process, from timeline to roadmap to accessibility to people, the bat phone, what was your experience like?
It was rocky. It's always a little bit rocky making a transition like that, but like Matt said, I had my son 7 days after we made the move, and so I literally ratified my first contract with AnnieMac while I'm at the hospital.
Oh my God!
And I literally stepped back and I didn't touch that loan pretty much the entire time. The girls and the team was incredible in helping me, and
Aaron texted me and goes, "What do I need to do?" Go be a dad. We got it. So
really
that's been beautiful.
So I know you've talked about John Arnionis and
Yep.
his onboarding process and his team, Nick.
Yep.
For somebody that's going to a new company, right? What are some of the things that were helpful for you through that process?
Yeah, so I think being prepared, right? They gave me every single thing that, I'm going to foresee that is not something that I'm used to doing because I've never made that transition, not only as a sales manager, but to, being a branch manager and running and operating my own business. Making sure if I have a goal and I have a plan, I can hit it, and I'm really confident in that. I do shoot from the hip sometimes, but I prefer to, hey, if we have a plan and we have action items, then we can hit our goals. And John was really good at listening and taking my many phone calls and being real with me. I spoke with a lot of companies before I made the move to AnnieMac, and John and Paul and you were some of the first people that didn't just be sunshine and rainbows with me and said, hey, these are the things that we're going to have to, account for in when you do make the transition, because that's real. We a lot of times,
massive machine.
We a lot of times don't talk about, how tough it is in this business. We talk about the successes and everything,
right.
But I feel like we don't necessarily talk about how difficult it is. But I love that, honestly. I do not want it to get easier. I love, I'm a boots on the ground guy. I'm a nose in the dirt originating manager. And, we started day one originating. I mean, you're scared of, hey, is my license going to transfer over? Am I going to lose clients, lose referral partners? We ratified our first contract the first day that we came on at AnnieMac. Our licenses were day one. And that was very different from my previous transition from another company where I had to wait 3 months. So that's a huge thing for originators that I talk to all the time, is they're afraid of their license transferring. We didn't lose any referral partners. We didn't lose any clients. People want to work with you, they, of course, want to have the confidence that you're with a great company and a great organization, but this is a people business, and people want to work with you.
I remember we were FaceTiming, and you were on the beach, and you were like, James got it. And you were like, I'm not quite used to this, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not like you take a ton of vacations. Like, you were actually there for business, and you had some time off, and you got on the beach, right?
I had not worked on a vacation in 5 years before I came to AnnieMac. And I remember,
you repeat that?
Yeah, I had not worked on vacation in 5 years before I came to AnnieMac, and it's important because, you know, we work very hard so that we can spend time with our families, and then when we are spending time with our families, our work is pulling us away. So I definitely wanted to come to a company where I could continue to grow and service my referral partners and clients, but also have that family time, and that's what fills the cup.
You know, too.
And I remember that vacation that you're talking about, we FaceTimed, and the next day we were leaving, and my wife's, my mother-in-law, came up to me as we were leaving, and I like get goosebumps, and she hugged me and she started crying, and she goes, because I worked sometimes all day, and so she came up to me and she started crying and she hugged me and she was like, now I know why you made the leap and went to AnnieMac. And she was just, it was like the mecca of moments, you know, of like, this is what it's all about. This is like our real, true life.
Yeah.
So
and for your mother-in-law to say that, because all she wants is her daughter to
to
be
be
the love
happy.
of her life,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's so special. It got me teared up. So, you know, I think what's really cool too, I know that you guys don't have this, you know, it's not just about you guys having time off, it's your whole team having good work-life balance. You're not piling on the work to your team. It's let's divviate it up and allow that to kind of everybody spread their wings and fly, not be, you know, bared down by the weight. So, you know, Aaron, as you have been going out and driving the business, right, because that's your biggest focus, just building relationships, right? So for you and some of the tools and things, like what have you latched onto the most with AnnieMac and going out and waving that flag, or just within your own team?
Yeah, the training is absolutely tremendous. So people like Nick and Karen at a corporate level who can really help out our team and train and implement these systems where we operate under a next man up environment. So like we just had a processor go away out of town for a week and we just kept rolling.
Most of the time it would crumble.
It would, it would be very
No.
stressful, and we'd be fighting fires and pulling our hair out, and it was, you wouldn't have even known. Everyone just kind of stepped up and took over a role, and our agents understand that and love that as well.
Yeah.
And they really, they
Wow.
see the culture that we've created and fostered, and AnnieMac's allowed us to foster, and it's really shining through in these 9 months.
And when you think about it, our whole theme of our company and our lifestyle is to have that on all fronts. And when you teach your referral partners and teach your buyers how you decided to operate, the game changes.
Yes.
I speak to loan officers a lot, and they're like, well, I'm available all the time, and that's why I get business. And it's like, I personally don't agree with that. And I think that you really need to set those standards, those boundaries, and allow the team to cover up where, we were speaking with Robert Filial this morning on a loan officer panel, and he said, there's never a time that a customer or an agent calls our line and doesn't get a live person. And, it's tremendous when you're able to have that security and comfort in your mind knowing that everyone's taken care of.
Yeah. And what's been very interesting is I've had a lot of agents, because we did not have that mindset before. I was coming home maybe 1 or 2 nights a week, honestly. I'm not proud of that, even though I hit 97 million.
You mean like for the dinner table?
Yeah, I was on time at dinner twice a week, and sometimes not. Now it's every single night, except for Mondays or late nights. But I've also had agents adopt that same mentality.
Right. You're passing that forward to them too.
They're like, oh, that makes sense. That eliminates burnout, makes me more, in the business when I'm actually in it. And so to see some of those agents kind of transition has been very cool as well.
Wow.
I think so often loan officers have this ego that the realtor or the client only wants to talk to them, and that's not the case. They just want their questions answered.
Yeah, and I think too, like you guys are then able to go out and teach and lead and cast a wider net and speak more to the masses. And yes, that one-on-one connection, coffees and conversations, right? There's nothing more powerful than that. So let's fast forward. Let's talk a little bit about 2022, right? Because your chest bump obviously showed some power. But seriously, leading into the future, you guys are so magnetic when it comes to the charisma you bring, the education. You guys are considered young in this industry, right? But also experienced. what is the future bringing? Like for you, looking into maybe a personal production, and then Matt, from a branch production volume range, like where do you want to be?
Yeah, I mean, the buzzword is growth, right? Like, we are growing at a rapid rate, and my goal for 2022 is 50 million. We'll finish right around 30 this year, so,
cool.
Really just leveling up. And it's all about the people. I mean, the people that we have, I mean, Matt mentioned my loan partner, Kellie, like, I could not grow without her and what she does. And Marissa doing the biz dev, I mean, I don't think we've given her enough shine here today because she's a big part of our growth in 2022. She's unbelievable. And so
she just bought her first house.
She did. She's crushing it, and she's a huge part of who we are as a branch. And that's the heart of it, is the people. We're going to grow because of the people and the culture that we have.
I love that so much. So for you guys, anything you want to share as far as, well, let me back up. This group is growing and they're recruiting, but we don't like to call it recruiting. We call it selection, and we call it relationship building, right? This is not something where we accept people with just an NMLS ID and a heartbeat. I'm going to be real. And I think that, as far as what you guys are looking for in a person to scale and grow, what are some of those qualities?
Yeah, so we're looking to double again. I mean, next year when we have this conversation, we'll have 20 employees, right? And it's not, I look at two things kind of separately. One is production, and then two is the individual, right? I hire character first, and I think it's important to, that is a big deal to me, because I'm like just so amped about how beautiful our culture is, and every single person is willing to, I'll take out the trash. I'm not, I'm not above it. I have taken out the trash. And, I think having that next person to come in and kind of embrace that culture. So, we talk to loan officers all the time that maybe either don't have that culture, right? Don't have that support, want to scale, but don't want to suffer in their family life, or don't want to suffer in their efficiency with their clients. We're doing a lot on social media. So those loan officers that are young and hungry, that want to grow and want to embarrass themselves on social media, that's who we want at our branch. To have someone who, me as a leader, I take pride in being very hands-on. So like, I'm always available for our originators, always. I think from now until we hit $1 billion in production as a branch, I will still be originating, I will still be selling loans, and I think that enables me to have a perspective of what my originators and my loan partners and my staff is going through, to allow me to then implement and adapt and make those changes without just theory and concept, and really, practicality and implementation that I'm doing myself. So, if I'm going to preach it, I better be doing it. And so, if you're a loan officer and you don't have that, it's worth a conversation to set up your business plan, because this business is like one of the most fulfilling businesses with some great people. And we have those people at AnnieMac for sure.
Yeah, and I think, as we think about our futures and we think about the type of leaders we want to continue to evolve into. Like, I sat down and took so many notes this morning in our sessions, and I found so many opportunities in my business to evolve in. But, Carl White said it so well, you don't want to be perfect, you want to be growing. Yep. You want progress, you don't want, perfection. You want to be able to have those tweaks. If you're at 80%, you're there, right?
Yeah,
you're doing it, and it's not always 100%. So giving yourself that grace has been so important.
Well, I think perfection doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
Right. So I think that is like, once you, number one, realize that, if you split your body in half, the right side and the left side are completely different, right? There is literally perfection doesn't exist, and we try to, it makes us not act, right, on being perfect. And so for me as a branch manager, I'm learning so much every single day, but I'm not afraid of being imperfect. So that's something that me and Aaron talk about all the time, is we'll make 150 decisions in the time that somebody waits 6 months to make 2.
Action.
And I'm not afraid to make a decision, fail, and then learn from it and adapt and make the right one.
You can spend your whole life prepping for something and be in the same place.
Absolutely. We use this quote all the time, that indecision is far more costly than wrong decision. We really live by that.
I'm gonna come work in your office.
Oh,
I miss
you're
this energy. This energy's real. We've been cooped up for so long. Well, thanks guys for joining, and
Absolutely.
this will not be the last that you'll see of these two. And yes, that $500 million region will be here before we know it, and then that big $1 billion goal will be here too. So more to come. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.